I'm going to say this in the most clear way possible. Anyone can be deported under the Trump administration. Anybody. No one is safe. I'm not saying this because of what just happened in terms of the Trump administration refusing to return a man that they mistakenly, a father that they mistakenly sent to El Salvador. I'm not saying that because of this. I'm saying this because this was clear information since 2023. Back then, Project 2025 was released. And around that time, one of the things that the New York Times reported was what's in Project 2025, and it was mass deportation, what Donald Trump plans to do in terms of mass deportation if he were to get reelected president of the United States. And one of the things that was talked about in that New York Times article, of course, was mass immigration roundup camps, rounding up immigrants in this country. But that also could include legal citizens as well. But also, if you go a little bit deeper into what Donald Trump's mass deportation plan was, going all the way back to 2015, when he ran for president of the United States, one of the things that he always talked about was Operation Wetback, how he loved Operation Wetback. What was Operation Wetback? That's when President Dwight D. Eisenhower gathered up immigrants in this country, including legal residents of this country, to deport them. Because we got to get the immigrants out. That's Operation Wetback. That's something that Donald Trump has loved talking about since 2015 when he ran for president. But let's also talk about another thing, which is the Mexican repatriation that happened back in 1928 to 1936 when Herbert Hoover deported Mexicans in this country, including legal Mexicans in this country, all because the economy was crashing and people thought, oh, let's blame it on the Mexicans. If we deport the Mexicans, then everything's going to be better. Things did not get better for the country. But of course, deport the immigrants. That's what happened. Legal residents were also deported in this country. They used the pseudonym of deporting the criminals and the gangsters, just so you think, as a legal resident, if you are one, that it's not going to be you. But what are they doing right now? They are revoking citizenship. They're revoking visas of legal residents in this country, including Cubans, Haitians, Venezuelans. They do not care who you are. They do not care if you're draped in American flag. All you are to them is still an immigrant of this country. That's all you are to them. You're looked at as an imposter, as an outsider, even though they colonized the nation themselves. And oh yeah, by the way, we're going to take out Native Americans as well, even though they were here first. What is happening right now is that anybody can be deported under this administration. This was known public information for nearly a decade. They're not just going to deport illegals. They're going to deport legal residents of this country as well. You disagree with the administration. You speak out against the administration. You're a journalist that does not agree with the administration. You're a vocal citizen who is strongly anti-Trump. Deported. Get out the country. But also not just deported, because according to a new memo by the Secretary of State, according to reporting from the AP that obtained this memo, anybody can be deported based off of not deported, expelled from the United States based off of past, current, or future beliefs. Also, let's start scrubbing people's social media accounts while we're at it to make sure they're not anti-Trump. That's what's happening in this country. Let's be 100% clear about that. Let's also not be shocked like we didn't know any of this was coming. Because if you did your research, if you read Project 2025, if you have been a sane citizen with 2 ears that worked for a decade, you know that this was Donald Trump's plan because he's been saying it since 2015. Donald Trump has been inherently racist since the dawn of time. This is nothing new. This is not surprising. This is horrific, yes, but it's not shocking. He's openly defying the United States Supreme Court. Oh, the same Supreme Court that just gave him a huge blanket immunity ruling over the summer? That's shocking. Oh, we're in a constitutional crisis. That's not shocking, guys. I don't understand why it's shocking to people that the President of the United States is openly defying the courts, when he not only is a 34-time convicted felon with 91 indictments, but he also, in and of itself, is someone who literally was granted the huge immunity to do this. And now the same Supreme Court is freaking out when they gave him that power. You don't give a wannabe dictator huge power like this and then, oh, we're going to freak out. We're going to be like, no, we're going to criticize you. No, that's not how it works. Too well, he's going to eviscerate the United States Supreme Court. They're going to eviscerate the judicial branch. because the No Rogue Act, the No Rogue Rulings Act passed the House. They're going to try to push that through the Senate. That effectively is going to curtail federal judges from stopping the Trump administration to stop doing what they're doing, stop federal judges from issuing nationwide injunctions. That's what's happening here. Anybody can be deported in this country. When Donald Trump said on the campaign trail that the enemy is within, he wasn't talking about, people that are terrorists. He was talking about you and I, people who voted for Kamala Harris. People are vocally critiquing of this administration. That's who he was talking about. That's who Donald Trump was talking about. U.S. citizens, residents. But so many times people said hyperbolic, overreacting. He wouldn't do that. Now it's happening. Now it's happening. Now it is happening in this country. Now it is happening. And for so many times, everyone wants to balk about the fact that it's not them, but it's all of us right now. It's all of us. All of us are being impacted by what's happening here. We are going to watch the concentration camps be built. We are going to watch journalists and legal residents continue to be deported and expelled from this country. We are going to watch, political enemies of this president arrested, or even we are going to watch that happen live. This is straight out of the authoritarian playbook. This is straight out of the history of authoritarianism. That's exactly what's happening here. When someone shows you who they are, believe them. Why would you take it as a joke that someone said they're going to be a dictator just for one day? Like anyone who became a dictator for a day ever gave up that power after. If you voted for Donald Trump and you think you're fine here because you're on the list of Trump supporters, you're screwed as well. Donald Trump doesn't care about anyone else but himself. So yes, anyone can be deported. Anyone and everyone who does not agree with this administration will either be deported or expelled. They are hell-bent on making that clear. We just told the El Salvadorian president today, hey, well, since you can't bring Kilmar back, why don't we just build 5 more of those prisons in El Salvador so we can get them ready for, more legal citizens to get deported? He said, yeah, we're going after homegrown Americans next. I know Donald Trump lies incessantly. He does. He's a pathological liar. You can't help it. But one thing that this man is good for is being overt and also being clear on his policies and his stance really about anything. The people that voted for him, it is your failure to believe the idiot that you elected that will be your downfall. And that is why Hillary Clinton said you are deplorable. Anybody who voted for this, congratulations. This is the end of your favorite patriotic country because we are heading downfall and we're not going to come back from this. This is the end of the United States of America, if we can even call ourselves united anymore. Anybody can be deported regardless of legal status. Think about that for a second. Anybody can be deported or expelled regardless of legal status. They're literally telling immigration lawyers to self-deport, to get out the country. You're next. No one is immune.